So, okay, let's do this. I think I'm going, okay. There we go. I know, it just, literally, it's been like seamless all week. So, okay, there we go. Dating and relationships with Pablo. Okay. Go live. All right. Almost there. Yay! Okay, we're here. We made it. Yes. You were right, Michelle. I was stressing. So, you guys, I am so excited, and I was partly stressing because the man that is really just like the celebrity and expert of the hour is so deserving and so worthy of all of your attention, all of your time. He has been on it. He's been just as excited as I am. He's helped me carry on the day, and he doesn't even know this, the days where it has gotten really hard for me, like watching his excitement and his passion for what he does and what he's in. Like, this is who he is, and I'm just so excited to, and like, he's dressed to the nine also, so like, let's just point that out. And so I really was stressing because I am just so honored, Pablo, that you're here and that you created this time, that you've been so invested in this, that you are showing up with your A+ game, A++ game, like you always do. He lives and breathes this stuff, you guys. And I know that for myself, so many people I've been coaching on dating and relationships and finding love. And like, this is your expert right here. So Pablo, without further ado, oh yeah, and real quick, because you want to win this giveaway, like you want to win this, trust me, you want to win this, all right? Start a watch party, all right? Let everyone know who Pablo is and what he does, and all of your friends who need help with dating and relationships, invite them onto this, because this is your hour. So like, you get access to the like real life hitch, yeah? So, so Pablo, take it away and tell us who you are and what you do.
Man, so just I had this, over the top introduction prepared, but then you went ahead and complimented me so well. I'm truly humbled. I truly am humbled. I am excited to be here. Honored that you called on me to come and help out with your mission. And so thank you very much for that right off the bat. Thank you so much. And hello, everybody. Pleasure to meet everybody. What's going on? You guys ready? You're not ready. Are you ready? Let's get ready. And so, as Jilly mentioned, my name is Pablo Rosario. I am a men's dating and relationship coach. And essentially what I do is I help people find relationships worth having, help them create relationships worth having. And this whole thing started for me like years ago. I mean, I think everyone has their origin story of what led them to this, that, the other, maybe like some failed attempt at some other job. But funny enough, mine started when I was 10 years old. Some of you may have heard this, some of you may have not. But my whole journey started when I was 10 years old in the 5th grade. And I was in the 5th grade and I had a girlfriend at the time. I know, a little 5th grader having a girlfriend. Who does that? But I remember it's definitely one of the turning points in my life. I remember being on the playground, playing football during recess, having a great time. And I feel a tap on my shoulder, and it's the best friend of the girl that I was dating. And she goes, so she's going to go out with so-and-so for like 2 weeks. And if she doesn't like him, she'll come back with you. And, at the time I was like, whatever, I don't care. But Jelly, you already know this. It was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. Never in my life had I felt like such a consolation prize. Never had in my life had I not felt worthy. I guess like that was like one of the cracks right there. But lucky enough, something beautiful happened. In a weird way. I remember from that moment on, I decided I'm never gonna feel like this again. Never again am I gonna feel like this. And so I dove deep into it. I did what we all do. I went to Google and I went, how do you talk to girls? How do you get girls to like you? And I started finding things out, and I started implementing them. And then over time, things started to change. But I then found something out though. I then found out that it wasn't the words, or it wasn't anything that I was doing specifically that landed me my success when it came to dating and relationships. What I ended up finding out was that the better version of myself I became, the more success that I had, the better people responded to me. There was an improvement in my experience of relationships. And that's when it clicked for me that, and in order to have good relationships, you have to become the best version of yourself. And so, throughout my life, I would just help friends, help anybody who, wanted to listen. Because I remember what that pain felt like, right? I remember that pain felt like. And I hate that feeling for somebody else to feel lonely, like there's no one out there, like they just can't connect with people, like they're, like they feel doomed to be by themselves. I don't want people to feel like that. And so, through a series of fortunate events, funny enough, this was actually something I hid from the world, because I didn't think it was valuable enough. I didn't, there was part of me that felt a little bit shame about it, because, I had to learn how to talk to girls. So I kept it a secret for the longest time. And then I would try, in the past, like I established myself as a coach, but I was shied away from this. And so one day I was like, you know what? I'm just going to lean into this. It's scary, but like, this is my passion. This is what, I love talking about. I can talk about for hours. I can help people. So I said, screw it. And I announced to the world, hey, I'm here to help people with their dating and their relationship. And lucky enough, it's been well received. It's been well received, and it's been reassuring just to see that, people are seeing value in the help, and more than anything, what ends up happening is that after working with people, what ends up happening is not that their relationship change, but that they change. And that's what they're most appreciative at the end of it all. And fast forward, here we are, being called upon to talk about dating relationships for another awesome coach.
This is, and it's so great. And so the thing is like everything you said, right? We've all experienced heartbreak. We've all experienced the pain of being vulnerable and then feeling that rejection, right? We've experienced it just like, yeah, not feeling worthy and not feeling good enough and like wanting to be loved so badly. That's what we all want, right? Like we want to be loved and seen so badly, and to be able to be who we are, right? Without being made wrong and without feeling like we're wrong. And so I'm just so happy that you're talking about this and that you shared that, because it starts from a very, very, very young age for most people. And so I'm just also excited that like all the exercises that you're about to take people through, because it is mind blowing. Right. And so what are some of like, so you kind of have shared, like you Googled, like, how do I talk to girls? Right. And I want people to understand, like, what are some of the common mistakes that you see people make, like in the dating world and in relationships? And what are things and tips that you can give people to be the most authentic versions of them and attract that worthy mate?
Yeah. So a lot of the advice that I got, actually a lot of advice that out there, are surface level advice. And
Mhm.
they're very how-tos, which some of them do work. But the problem with that is that with a lot of the advice out there is that they are a mask.
Yeah.
They are a mask to hide who you are from the person. So essentially, you're not presenting your real self. You're sending out your representative, as they say.
Yes. Yes.
You're sending
Yeah.
out your representative. And then what ends up happening is, not only is there's this incongruency within yourself, there'll be an incongruency between you and the person that you're with, because who you presented yourself to be at the beginning is not the person who you are later on. And a lot of the advice also too that I found out there was that, yes, they teach you how to meet somebody, how to get a phone number, how to talk to girls, but no one ever tells you how to keep them.
Mhm.
No one ever tells you why you are the way you are. No one tells you why you keep having the same problems you keep having. Because the name of the game, I'm sure everyone on here, no one wants to meet new people. After a while, it gets a little tiring. After a while, you want to build, one or a couple of just really fulfilling relationships. The name of the game is to keep it. That's why we do it. And so like some of the things that get in the way of that. So like for example, right? And I'm not even gonna talk about like bad dating advice out there. I'm gonna tell you about the mistakes that people normally make. Like one of the mistakes that people make is mind reading. Okay, assuming that you know what the other person is thinking, whether you're single, whether you're in a relationship, assuming that you know what the other person's thinking, assuming that you know that, oh, okay, they don't like me, oh, they're angry, oh, they're angry because of this. Essentially, you're assuming, and that's always going to lead you down the road. You're not a mind reader. All right, and also here's the other thing: assuming that they can read your minds. Think Thinking like, oh, they should know I'm angry. They should know I don't like that. They should know this is what I like, what I need. We're not mind readers. I don't care if you've been together. I don't care if you've been together for 5 weeks, 5 years, 50 years. You're not. No one's a mind reader. You have to communicate, which brings me to my other point, the other mistake, which is not communicating needs clearly. Right? A mentor of mine, he said this, and it always stuck with me. He goes, uncommunicated needs are premeditated resentments. Uncommunicated needs are premeditated resentments.
So good.
Right? So good. If I don't tell you what I need, what makes me happy, and then you, not being a mind reader, you don't do it, you don't fulfill it, then I'm gonna get angry. I'm gonna resent you for it because Julie didn't call me today. She didn't tell me I was pretty. She didn't rub my hair or my lack thereof, and didn't make me feel good. But how could she know? Because I never communicated it. All right. And here's the thing about, watch how deep this rabbit hole goes, right? The thing about communicating needs, one, we don't know what they are. Like, we don't clearly know what they are. Like, some people may think, oh, I just want somebody to talk to me. I just need you to call me, right? But let's be clear about it. When you call, right? What's more important to you? That you call and just talk for 5 minutes, or you're the type of person that likes deep, long, connecting conversations? That's actually like one of the differences between me and my girlfriend, where she is okay, like her need for communication, she's okay with like quick, like, hey, how you doing, this, that, and the other. I don't like that, because for me it feels shallow, and I prefer to wait to the end of the day to have the deep conversation. And so there was a point where we would talk back and forth, saying, she would go, you don't communicate, you don't connect with me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We talk for 2 hours every night. But it's because it wasn't communicated. It wasn't communicated clearly. We didn't know what we wanted, so we figured it out. The other thing about it is that when you do bring up your needs, right, another mistake that people do, they don't know how to bring them up. They see it as an all or nothing type of thing, where this is what I want, take it or leave it. And that kills the party before the party even started. They don't know how to have that type of conversation where they discuss about it, where and not only that, they don't know how to do it in a way that creates a safe space for people to tell their needs. Because let's be honest about it. I mean, we express our needs, but there's some, maybe like little kinky stuff every once in a while. Cool. But some people are nervous to share it because the space is not safe. Another thing that people do completely wrong is their lifestyle. They say they want a relationship. They say they want to meet people, but their lifestyle is not conducive to it. If you wake up, go to work, come back home, go to the same happy hour where only 2 people show up, you're not going to meet anybody. Not only that, if your friends that you're around, they consist of your lifestyle. If you have single bitter friends, they're gonna stop you from meeting people. All right. I know people, there's someone that I work with that his problem was like, he wants to meet people, but his friends are not those type of people. So he feels weird kind of separating himself. So the people that you're around, the advice you get, don't listen to your single bitter friends. They mean well, but they don't know jack. Okay. All right. Take advice, like really seek your own advice for what works. All right. Other thing is here's a big one: rejecting yourself. Okay. And when it comes to dating and stuff like that, we're the ones doing the rejecting, not the person. We do it before a conversation is even had, before we even have a chance to interact with that person. We already counting ourselves out, right? I'm not this. I'm not this. I'm not good enough. I'm not that. And and lastly, a big mistake too, and this is probably like if you embody this one thing, your relationships are always going to go great. It always has a fighting chance. And this concept of embodying or assuming positive intent. Okay, it kind of works in hand with mind reading, but it's a positive version of it, where we tend to assume things about our partner or the people that we're seeing, saying, "Oh no, they did this on purpose." No, if for some odd reason you get a call, they're in a bad mood, what would be assume that they always have positive intentions for you. And so if they call and they're pissed off or something like that, hey, positive intention would sound like, "Hey, I know this person always has good intentions for me. Something must be wrong." And then you're in a different space. You're no longer taken personally. And so the list can go on and on and on. But the majority of it just boils down to lack of communication and lack of self-awareness. That's the whole rant.
No, that's
No, that's
so good.
so
I'm
good.
echoing. Can you hear it?
No, you're not.
Okay, good. So this, like, to me, I think so many people, these are so important because one, like, so yeah, you're right. So many times none of us know what we need, right? And we don't take the time to tune into ourselves. We look to another person to fill needs that one, we don't know, and two, to think that they should know them before we do. And then three, like, we don't ever take time to understand what we need, yes, and then communicate them. And so something is creating that trust, and you talked about that healthy safe space, because if you haven't created that healthy safe space to talk about, like, hey, this is what I'm needing from you, I've been feeling this way and this is what I'm needing, and I'm realizing that need isn't being met, right? Like, and I need to tell you. But when people haven't created that space, and let's say that they've been in a relationship for a while, right? Like, maybe it's just starting, and maybe it's just a few months, right? And maybe it's years. How do you begin in talking about keeping people, and talking about, like, a fire being lit and passion and excitement and falling in love again? How do you create a space of a safe space in a pre-existing relationship?
That's a fantastic question. First thing I'm going to say, that's never too late.
Mm.
Call me being stubborn, but I don't give up. This is the way I'm wired. So it's my personal belief that it's never too late. And so the way you do that, okay, is essentially it starts with you. Any change you want to experience in the relationship starts with you, not your partner. And even if you want your partner to change or really meet you where you're at, because we shouldn't try to change our partner, but if we're growing and we're embodying positive relationship skills and we want our partner to meet us there, it starts with you modeling it. You're the initiator. You're the spark that causes it. All right. Then from there, that's how you begin to create the space. So here are some actually like practical ways to do that. Right. The first step that I mentioned, one thing is to assume positive intent. Always assume that your partner has positive intentions for you. Okay. They may say something the wrong way. They may do something, a little sketchy. Right. But because they're a partner, they deserve that benefit of the doubt. That, what, they usually assume, they're usually great to me. Something's off. Let me find out. That's number one. Number two, which bring me to my other point, is curiosity. Curiosity. Oftentimes, people get into like interrogation mode. What are you doing? Why are you like that? But if you go from a space of curiosity, and that it leads to understanding, because that's a basic human need. I don't care if you're man or woman, everybody wants to be understood. And so when you operate from a place of curiosity, really trying to understand, not trying to convince, not trying to persuade, not trying to get to your side, convince them to your side, but you're really trying to understand.
Can you give an example of how to phrase a question like that?
Sure. So how to seek understanding, it's simple. and me, I love to live in the real world, so I'm not giving advice from, the mythical land where everything's nice and dandy. A perfect example would be, let's say, you and your partner have, differences. Like, you're in a relationship, you have differences on a particular topic. Okay. And let's use, for example, arguments, for example. Or, some people have different argument style. Some people like to sit and talk about it, and some people need to walk away. Whereas, I know myself, if you walk away in the middle of an argument, I'm gonna take that as disrespect. For me, I'm like, no, we're sitting and talking about it. But for someone else, it's like, I need my space, or else I'm gonna blow up. So an example about that would be like, an example like that, like, um, would be, well, could you tell me more about why you need to walk away? Um, what are your thoughts on staying? Does staying mean something different to you? Like, would staying be not constructive to you? Or tell me more about that. What if I did this? See, and in doing this, like, even when I said, would staying be harmful for you or too much for you? I'm not telling them, hey, listen, I need you to stay. I'm getting their thoughts, and I'm curious, like, what are their thoughts on the particular subject? Why is it that they need to walk away? And then when they do tell me their answer, the next piece is encouragement. Okay, if you think about it from a human behavior, it's called, positive and negative reinforcement. All right, the more person shares, and the more that the sharing is met with encouragement, like, oh, that's awesome, tell me more about that. The person will feel more confident, more safe to share, because in their mind, like, oh, I could tell this person whatever. They're not going to shame me. They're not going to chastise me. They're not going to punish me. I could say whatever, even if one of them say could potentially hurt them, they're still not going to feel any certain way or attack me. So encouragement, curiosity, assuming positive intent. Another way to create that space is to also be okay when it doesn't happen.
Mm.
All right, because here's the thing: I have to respect your right not to want to talk about it. I have to respect your right to, um, to blow up, if you will. If it does, if I respect your right to disagree with me, because in doing that, I'm accepting you, however you are, however you operate, and that feeling of acceptance begins also to create the space.
Oh,
All right, and lastly, don't take anything personally. Don't take personally. Ready? This is a big one. Realize that whenever your partner is expressing him or herself, it is not about you. What happened is that you just happen to be the trigger or reminder of something that's really bothering them, a concern or a need. And so when you're listening to them, don't take it as, oh, they're talking about me. Take it as, oh, they are expressing something, they're sharing something. Take yourself out of the equation, but yet still be present to listen. And in doing that, the person gets the stuff off their chest, and then they feel heard, they feel seen, and they feel understood. Those what it always comes back to. And again, human interaction, romantic, professional, if you can make a person feel seen, heard, and understood, magic. Magic, baby.
it is. It's like, I was actually on the phone with the phone company today, and I was really upset. And I don't get very upset very often. And I told the woman, like the customer service woman, and this like goes to any relationship, right? I said, if you create an environment where I feel heard, seen, and understood, I will be happy, and you will have a happy customer. But if you don't do that, then I need to talk to your manager. Like, and that is like, it is a human need. And I felt so heard, seen, and understood, and we resolved it. And I felt very taken care of and very valued. And so that's like so funny, because it literally applies to every single relationship. And I think what's interesting, so when when you're not used to, let's say you've been hurt in the past, right? Let's say you've been cheated on. Let's say you have been destroyed. Like, someone has treated you poorly, they've lied, they've betrayed you, they have controlled you, they've beaten you down. My question is, how do you still have and believe in the positive intent?
Mm, that's a great question, because our past does come to haunt us.
Yeah. And so how can we move through that?
So it's a little bit of a process. One, understand that it doesn't happen overnight. Two, be kind with yourself. Be kind with yourself and understand that, the deeper the wound, the longer it takes to heal. And so understand that it will come up, right? Understand that it will come up. The important thing is to develop the awareness when it is come up and recognizing the origin of what's happening and not that it has anything to do with that person. And then after you recognize it, choosing different. So I'm gonna give an example in a second, but essentially the steps is first is to recognize when it's happening. Two is recognize the real issue and where it really comes from. And then three is to make a different choice. A perfect example one time was I was in the car driving with my girlfriend and she said something snappy at me. And then trigger, right? Because I like that. I don't do that to me. I don't like that, right? However, though, right, this is the process that happened, right? Boom, I was aware of the trigger, like, oh wait, I'm bothered. And then the next thought was, wait, it has nothing to do with her. The reason why I'm bothered is because this reminds me of what an ex-girlfriend used to do. Because what's really happening is she's bothered for some reason and she needs to be listened to. Oh, okay. Step three, I didn't react. I didn't snap back at her. I just go, hey, what's going on? You're not, normally not like this. Like, is there something going on? And she said, nothing, no. And I said, okay, that's fine. And later on, we talked about it. Yeah, no, yeah, like it's interesting, but trust me, I totally get it because it makes us scared to try again. It makes us scared to trust again, to love again, and it's hard not to make the person that's in front of us pay for the past. Sometimes it happens unconsciously. That's why you gotta have forgiveness for yourself. But more importantly, is the awareness to be like, oh wait, this is happening, and then not letting it get out of control, where you can realize that wait, it has nothing to do with this person. Oh, I'm just being reminded because this person is not that person. Oh, okay, like this relationship is totally different. I'm not in the past. I'm in a completely different moment. Okay, then, because that's what your body thinks. Your body thinks like, oh, snap, this is happening again. This is happening again. That's what your body feels like. But it's all a matter of having that awareness. And then once you have that awareness, okay, choosing different. Even though it's difficult, and here's the thing, it doesn't have to be perfect. Right? You don't have to be a saint because truth of the matter, it may take you 10 minutes. Like for me, it used to take me somewhere close, like around a day and a half. If I got triggered, I went straight into my patterns. A day and a half. And then after a day and a half, oh, okay. All right, hey baby, what's going on? But over time, your metric of success will not be in never feeling like that. Your metric of success will be how quickly you can shorten that time, how quickly you can come back to zero, how short can you make that period of triggeredness. So you may be in a relationship and you may be bothered for like 10 hours or 2 days. Let's say 2 months from now, instead of 2 days, you're down to 12 hours. From 12 hours to maybe 2 as you continue to move. And that's how you measure your progress, how you measure your success. So, yeah.
So good. So everyone, and Pablo, as long as you're okay with this, I want to honor the fact that we said like we'd give everyone an hour, and you have such good content and everyone's been wanting it. So I want to make sure that we give them that. And I want to make sure that we go into the exercise that you have. So everyone, if you have to get off at 5, no problem. This will be recorded and you can watch the replay. Also, if you have questions for Pablo, like please send comments, shoot them in the comments and like use him. He's here, right? Like please use this time that you have with him. Because Rebecca's like, Pablo, this is mind blowing. And it's so good, right? Like this is so good and this is so needed and we need to talk about it. So before we go into the exercises, is there anything else, any tidbits, any wisdom, advice, guidance, tips, whatever that you want to share with people before we go into the exercise?
Right now, off the top of my head, just the most important thing, the most important thing will always be yourself, which actually will lead into the exercise we are doing. But know that you're not a victim of your past. I acknowledge and I honor the things that did happen, and I'm not denying that they don't have an effect, because they do. However, though, you're actually more than capable to have the type of love life that you want. All it takes is a little awareness and small little choices along the way. And, which actually will lead us into our exercise.
I love it. Okay, take them through, brother. Take them through.
All right, all right. Okay, my friends, let's get ready. So I would like everyone to get a pen and paper. If you want, you can take out your phone and use your notes. Okay, what I'm about to take you guys through is a little exercise, right? A little exercise that's going to help a lot. I remember when I went through this, it's mind blowing. Everyone I've run through this before is mind blowing. And essentially, it's an exercise to see how you do relationships. Essentially, you're going to see how you show up in relationships, how we sabotage ourselves, and, it uncovers some of those unconscious patterns I was talking about, as well as identify needs and a bunch of other great stuff. Now, the important thing is to know this, right? The following exercise is not meant to tell you this is how you are. I'm not a big fan of labels, because once you have a label, you start to fall into whatever that label says. Instead, take it as new information for you to consider, for you to observe. Okay, and it's that way, when you have this new information, you can choose differently. All right, and so we're gonna run through it. I'll explain at the end, but the way it's gonna work is I'm gonna give you guys some prompts. You're going to write out the prompts and answer the prompts. Okay, and if at any point in time you need to slow down, repeat something, I'll be more than happy to. Just let me know, let Jilly know in the comments. We'll make it happen. So here we go. All right, so first part. Okay, this is part A. Okay, I want you to write part A. Now, part A, I want you to write the phrase primary caretakers and their names. Essentially, write the names of your primary caretakers. So whether it was your mom and dad, grandma, it was a nanny, it was an aunt, write the name of your primary caretaker. Okay, and I'll actually do it with you so you guys can see a little bit. All right, and what you're going to do, let's see here, mom, dad. So I want it to look like this. It says mom, dad. For you, it should be one person, but mom, dad. Okay. Now, under each name, I want you to write 5 to 8 positive traits you associate with each caretaker. So, for example, it could be things like warm, loving, supportive, funny, smart. So things like that. Okay, I'll give everyone just a quick minute to write that down. But again, 5 to 8. 5 to 8 positive traits that you associate with that person. Okay, we'll give it a couple minutes. All right, and I'll do it too, so that way good time and right and everything. So, but don't make fun of my handwriting when you see it. Okay. Smart. And I remember when I did this with Jilly, it's awesome because it's one of those best kept secret exercises. I mean, if you've been into the self-improvement world, trying to learn about yourself, this is definitely going to open up some eyes, right? This is definitely going to open up some eyes, and it's definitely going to, without giving too much away, give you a lot of power back in your relationship. So keep writing those things down. Give you guys a little bit of time. All right. Writing. Okay. All right. I think that should be good. Beautiful. Okay. Excellent. All right. All right. Next, what I want you to do is out of that list, I want you to circle, and I'm talking about the entire list, circle the 5 that had the most impact on you. Circle the 5 traits that had the most impact on you. Okay. Yep. So it should look something sort of like that. Okay. Circle the 5 traits. Next, what I want you guys to do is to draw a line under those traits. Now, under each name, I want you to write 5 to 8 negative traits that you associate with each caretaker. So it can be things like critical, distant, short-tempered, hard to please, clingy, whatever negative traits you associate with those caretakers. So 5 to 8 of those. In the interest of time, you know what? I do want to respect everyone's time. Let's just do 5. So you don't have to worry about 8. Let's just do 5 characteristics. Okay. All right. Once you have that list, I want you to circle the 5 negative traits that had the most impact on you. Okay. Circle the 5 traits that had the most impact on you. And this is part A. All right. Part B. Okay. Now, part B. For part B, I want you to write the 3 things that you needed the most from your caretakers, but you didn't get. So, for example, things like maybe guidance, structure, affection, maybe acceptance, maybe respect, direction. What were 3 things that you needed the most from your caretakers, but never got? Okay. And if it helps, you know what I'll do too? I will write the questions in the chat. And Jilly, if you could, I don't know if you could put them to the Facebook group, but just so everyone can have them. All right. So, oops. I'll do the whole thing. MC here. All right. Stay with me, people. Trust me. Stay with me. Here we go. All right. Boom. So, all right. In part B, like I mentioned, it was list. What was it? Here we go. Yeah, 3 things that you needed the most. I'm gonna put it here in the chat as well. Okay. All right. Part B. 3 things you needed. Boom. All right. So now we're moving on to part C. Okay. Part C. Part C, I want you to think about 3 moments from your childhood when you felt super frustrated with your parents, okay? Or your caretakers, rather. 3 moments where you felt super frustrated. Now, I want you to describe how you felt because of that moment and how did you react. So, like, for example, one moment for me where I felt super frustrated was that my parents would not let me sleep over my friend's house. That was a big no-no. That didn't happen. And I would get frustrated. And I felt disappointed. I feel disappointed, shorted, and treated unfairly. And how did I react? I shut down. I shut down. I didn't talk to them. I retreated inward. So think of 3 instances from your childhood where you felt frustrated. How did you feel and how did you react? All right, again, I'll write that chat here. Yeah. Okay. And it could be for anything. When we're kids, we feel frustrated. Like, I couldn't sleep over. So that made me frustrated. For other people, maybe something big, like maybe you were treated unfairly, or, you got in trouble when you weren't supposed to. So go ahead and write those out. Okay, give everyone just a little bit of time. All right. After you answer this question, we're halfway home because now it's about to get. Woo, let me calm down. Let me calm down. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Just take your time, people. All right, no rush. This will be recorded at the same time. We're here for you. So, okay. Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. So make sure I'm not moving too fast. Should we go on to the next part? Okay. Yeah. All right. And we'll go to the next part. Okay. So now, boom, halfway through. Here we go. So I want you guys to write down the following prompt. Okay. The following prompt. And this is part D, by the way. This is part D. The following prompt. When it comes to dating, I'm looking for someone with these positive traits. I'll repeat that statement again. Write that one down. When it comes to dating, I'm looking for someone with these positive traits. Then what I want you to do is to insert the qualities, the positive qualities that you circled from part A into that question. So those 5 qualities that you circled, insert them into this question. All right. Now, part E. A, B, C, D, E. Okay, E. All right. E. This is the next prompt. But I won't really fall in love unless he or she has some of these traits. I'll repeat that again. But I won't really fall in love unless he or she also has some of these traits. I'll put that in the chat. Then I want you to insert the negative qualities that you circled in this answer. okay? But I won't really fall in love unless he or she also has some of these traits, and insert the negative answers that you circled in part A right here. Next one, okay? This one, it is a little bit of a doozy, so I'll go slow, all right? This is part F. Part F reads, in my relationships, I'll say this slowly, so in my relationships, I will struggle to get rid of my partner's negative traits so they can only have the positive traits. In my relationships, I will struggle to get rid of my partner's negative traits so they can only have the positive traits. This would allow me to finally get an adult version of the following unmet needs from my childhood. I'll repeat it again. In my relationships, I will struggle to get rid of my partner's negative traits so they can only have the positive ones. This would allow me to finally get an adult version of the following unmet needs from my childhood. And I'll post this in the chat as well. Then you're going to insert your answer from part B. So what you wrote in part B, insert the answer right there. I wonder if any minds have exploded yet. Or maybe they haven't, but we'll see. All right. All right. So we're down to the last question. We're down to the last question. We're down the home stretch. Okay. All right. The last question is this. In my relationships, this is part E, by the way. So here we go. In my relationships, oh wait, I'm sorry. This is A, B, C, D, E, F. Oh, G. We're on G. We're on G. Man, I gotta learn how to spell better. You know, spell check, these days, it's just ruining everything, man. All right, so we're part G. We're part G. Sorry, I got it. We're back on it. So part G, the question is, in my relationships, I will sometimes stop myself from getting these needs met by doing an adult version of these behaviors. So I'll repeat that again. Okay. Part G. In my relationships, I will sometimes tend to stop myself from getting these needs met by doing an adult version of these behaviors. We're going to put that in the chat as well. And then once you have that out, you're going to insert your answer from part C. Insert your answer from part C in there. Okay. How are we looking, Jilly? How are we looking? All right, all right, all right.
Mind blown.
All right. All right, all right, all right. Excellent.
So good.
Oh man, I'm so glad. So hopefully some light bulbs went out. Went out. But you know what? Yes, went out from the mind explosion. Okay. Instead of light bulbs turning on, they're on to full capacity and they exploded. That's what I hope happened. So I said what I said. Okay. So let me break this down for you people. What you guys just completed is called the Imago exercise. It is an exercise that was created by Harville Hendrix, who is the author of Getting the Love You Want. Highly recommend the book. Highly recommend the book. And essentially what Imago means, right? The translation for Imago means unconscious image of familiar love. Okay? Now, to break it down more, this is what happens, is that our first exposure to what love is, to what a relationship is, comes from our childhood. And then what happens is that when we're younger, that model that we experience when we're younger, we don't know any better. So in our head, that is the blueprint for a relationship. That is the blueprint for love. How you interact, how they interact is going to be part of your map. Subconsciously, that is what you think is right and what you think you deserve, what you think is supposed to be. Now, that also explains why, if you notice, like with one of the questions, actually, I believe it was question D, when it comes to dating, I'm looking for someone with these positive traits. You ever notice that either your current relationship, the people you're attracted to, tend to have those positive traits that tend to, tend to like, ooh, light you up, like, I like this about you, right? But here's the funny part though, right? That's only half the image. Okay, the other part of the blueprint is also those negative qualities. And that's not to say that you're looking to get hurt. But what happens is that those negative traits are part of the whole blueprint. And so a lot of times, if a person doesn't have those traits, not likely that you'll feel anything for them. I mean, you ever notice that there are some people that you know are good for you, but you just don't feel nothing for them? Or you ever notice that people that you know you should not be talking to, but for some odd reason, they just attract you to them? It's because they possess both of these traits. Okay. And I love this question because it gives you an example of the type of person you're attracted to, and also like your model of what a person should be like in a relationship. Now, let's break it down even more, and let's go down, right? The next question, which is, where is it? In my relationships, I will struggle to get rid of my partner's negative traits so they can only have the positive traits. Naturally so, right? And we do this because, as the question says, this would allow me to finally get an adult version of the following unmet needs for my partner. Okay, now let's get deep into this. Now check this out, right? In our relationship with our parents, granted, or our caretakers rather, granted, they did the best they could. Not blaming them one way or another. They're human just like us. Because they're human, they're not always going to be perfect, which means there were some needs that went unmet. Okay, and as humans, it's our desire and drive to get those needs met because those mean survival. Now, what ends up happening is that we carry those unmet needs into adulthood, and we're driven to be in a relationship to get those needs met. Follow me so far? Right? Haven't lost anybody? Cool. Right? And so this explains why we have a need to feel like accepted, guided, loved, cared for. Like those are needs, right? Which is why, we get in a relationship with people, especially maybe with people that we're not supposed to be in a relationship with, because they fulfill those unmet needs. Okay? Now, here's where it starts to get tricky. When we were younger, we're little kids, we're limited resources, don't really understand the world, not exactly developed. So we depend on our parents to fulfill those needs. Okay? We depend on our parents for love. We depend on our parents for affection and things like that. Essentially, we're depending on something outside of us. And naturally so. We're incapable at the time. The problem is we carry that mentality into adulthood. And then we have our partners. We place those responsibilities on our partners to make us feel happy, to give us our needs as if we were little kids. And as we all know, when you put the onus of happiness on something outside of yourself, you're never going to win. You're essentially making someone else's job to make you happy. And I mean, imagine you're in a relationship with someone and they come up to you like, Jilly, they're like, yeah, you know what? It's your relationship. It's your, like, by, like, you and your partner, you guys just met. He came up to you and said, it's your responsibility to make me happy now. It's your job. You're like, whoa, I didn't sign up for this.
I would run the other way.
Exactly. And so that sets us up for failure, right? That sets us up for failure. And that's a little insight, a little bit of awareness to keep in mind. I actually put a post today on my Instagram saying that a relationship won't complete you. And the reason for that, essentially the idea behind that, is that you're making someone else's job to complete you. And if you constantly do that, you're never going to be complete. You have to realize that you are an adult. You're not the same little kid. That same awareness that, wait, I'm not in that prior situation. I'm an adult. I can speak up. I can make myself happy, take myself to the movies, get myself ice cream, Now, but here's what happens, right? Here's where their self-sabotage comes in. All right. You ever notice how you just like, oh, you just mess things up? You're like, what? Like, I keep doing this, but I don't understand why, or anything like this, or the same situation keeps happening, right? What happens is that, check this out. Let me break this down, right? When a need goes unfulfilled, obviously we have a response to it. We either feel frustrated, angry, or sad, similar like when we were kids, right? Now, and we have and these feelings. Now, to deal with these feelings, we have strategies, or rather coping mechanisms, if you want to call it that. Now, as you put down, when you were younger, maybe you shut down, maybe you lashed out, right? But the problem is that, again, we took those same strategies, those same coping mechanisms into adulthood. And the bad part about it is that while in the past, those strategies were meant to keep you safe, meant to keep your emotions in check. But as an adult, those strategies no longer serve you. They've worn out their use. And because we use them, because we don't, we just default to them, they're our default actions, they actually prevent us from getting those needs met, from getting those needs fulfilled. I'll give you an example. So with me, one of the things that I would do is one of my strategies was to shut down, turn inward. If I didn't like something, if something pissed me off, if I was unhappy, I turned inward. All right, I just got quiet. And I remember doing that when I was younger too, because I feel like I had a voice. And then fast forward to my relationships, when my partner said something I didn't like, when they acted in a way I didn't like, I didn't speak up for myself, right? I had a need for connection. But what I ended up doing by shutting down and not expressing myself, I was stopping myself from getting what I wanted. So it wasn't her fault. It was me. I chose a strategy that ended up pushing me further away from what it is that I wanted. And so, which leads to the takeaway, right? What leads to the takeaway? The takeaway out of this whole exercise that I hope everyone got is this. It was for you to have awareness of how you operate. Okay? Because I firmly believe that once you have awareness of how you operate, you can step off the carousel. You can step off the merry-go-round because you know what's happening now. Okay? You can see it. Like you can see the matrix. You go, oh, wait, look, there it goes again. There goes that trigger again. Right? So now I know why I do that. And then now you have the choice, which brings to the other part of choosing differently. Okay? Of choosing differently. Going back to the example of, let's keep on with the example of the way, I react whenever there's a problem. In the past, I would shut down. And I would feel the urge to shut down. And to be honest, I still feel the urge to this day. Right? However, though, I feel it. I acknowledge it. I'm aware of it. I choose differently. Because I know that strategy will not give me what I want. So now what I do, I speak up. I say, hey, babe, I want to talk to you about something. The thing that you did the other day, was there another reason why you did it? It just didn't sit right with me. I just want to know. And then what happens is, instead of 2 weeks of resentment, again, uncommunicated needs, premeditated resentment. Boom. I communicated, resentment gone, lovey-dovey, we're snuggling now. All
Yeah,
right.
and you gave her the benefit of the doubt, right? Like just like you said, you got curious, you give her the benefit of the doubt, right? You don't make her wrong. It's just like, hey, I was just wondering, it didn't sit well with me. Is there another reason? Right? You're not blaming her. You're taking responsibility of you feeling that way and are curious about learning more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So good.
There it is. Whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is. And so, and there you go. And there you go. And with that knowledge, you are more equipped to handle relationships. Now, again, like it's not a guarantee that you will have a perfect relationships or a perfect relationship. Stuff happens. But you're more equipped to make them work. And if you guys go your separate ways, it will be because of incompatibility, choice, rather than self-sabotage, rather than you missing out on a good thing. You know what I mean? And so now you're not preventing your own happiness, baby. You know, Valentine's Day coming up, you can smooch and cuddle, all that good stuff. So
No, that's so good. It's actually what's so cool is throughout this entire week, there's been just reassurance of the same themes going on and so many things building upon the other. And like today, I did a workshop on conscious living, right? And talking about like we have to become aware of what our stories are and what our patterns are, right? In order to change it. And that's the thing is like through exercises like this, through working with people who know what they're doing, who are equipped to lead you to these realizations, you then have the power and the knowledge to then make the choice to change it. Right. And if you don't change it, that's cool too, but you are choosing not to change it. Right. And that is where your power comes from. Instead of a relationship happening to you, right, you are standing in the relationship and making the choices. Pablo, this was amazing. This was so good. And everyone else thinks so as well. And relating to everyone. So if people want to like learn more about you, work with you, have their partners work with you, how?
So you guys can always reach me on Instagram. I'm that's kind of my advice there, but it makes me super responsive. All right, so you guys can always get at me there. It's at pablo.j.rosario. Send me a DM. I'll respond back. Or if you prefer email, it's pablo@pablojrosario.com. And it really is my passion. Any way I could be of service, I'm really here for everybody. So
yeah. And there's, oh my God, so good. I relate to everything he's saying. This was amazing. Thank you. So thank you, Pablo. Like, yes, it was mind blowing. And kind of what Pablo just said, right? Like it starts with you. It starts with the change in you. And so tomorrow's workshop, tomorrow at 4 p.m., I'm taking us through this whole thing of you taking responsibility of loving yourself first, of seeing your worth first. And if you've not listened to Pablo's podcast on my podcast, the Worthiness Mindset podcast, his is like one of the most downloaded episodes that I have because we talk about dating, relationships, connection, intimacy, right? And so please check that out. And Pablo, you've said yourself, like everything changed when you saw your own worth and your own value and you began to love yourself first. That's when everything changed. So you guys, like if you loved today, come tomorrow and come ready to use the things that Pablo had said today and let's apply them to you. So Pablo, what is what is the giveaway that we're doing?
Okay, dokie, artichoke. One of the gifts. I'm sure Julie can speak to this, but one of the gifts that anyone who's been on a self improvement journey has gone on is that they've had help. They've had help. They've had someone guide them, have someone, point out like, hey, do this, do that, and the other. That was done to me, and I want to pay it forward. So that's why, as part of the giveaway, I'm giving away 1 free hour session of work with me. I am yours to use as you will. Answer any question, any way I could be of service. Normally it's $275, but the most important thing is just to help where I can. I know someone out there can get a lot out of it. It just takes hearing that one thing, having that one person care, like, hey, listen, do this, and then bam, is a game changer. So that is my gift from me to you guys as a thank you for Jilly for having me here. And so Yeah, baby.
Okay, you guys, so get it. So Pablo, real quick, you guys take a screenshot of this, tag this on your Instagram. Ready? So smile real fast. Good. All right. You got it. You got it. So tag us on your Instagram. Let us know you're watching. Invite people, right, to get to know Pablo, to get to know the Worthiness Warrior Summit, right? Like this is so much bigger than all of us, and it's a movement, and we want to spread this message. And like you guys have seen the insane value that has been like just brought throughout the entire week, right? And Pablo just blew your mind. So share his message, share his name, help him get out there as well, right? Everyone needs this stuff. So you have 15 minutes to do that. We will come back with the giveaway in 15 minutes. And so Pablo, what is your last little bit of words of wisdom, all right, that you want to leave people with before we let them get busy of entering the giveaway?
I'm gonna leave people with the same thing I tell myself every morning. Be sexy, be kind, be you. Have a good night.
I love it. See you guys soon.